meditation for the Nottingham this evening here with me live, or whether you're watching this later on our YouTube channel, you're very welcome. During the period of the pandemic, we've introduced all of our drop-in meditations to this format of delivering them online, and I think it's something that we'll continue to do even when the situation is back to relative normality, because what we found is that by doing them online and then making them available later on, it does give people the opportunity to access them who may not be able to come along in the evening to one of our regular sessions. So at Nottingham Buddhist Centre, we do two different meditations. We teach two different meditations commonly, and we have drop-in meditations typically on a Tuesday and a Friday lunchtime, but also Tuesday evening. And we've continued that throughout, and we'll do so hopefully for the foreseeable future. So the two meditations that we teach are known as the Metta Bhavana, the cultivation of loving kindness. But the one we're doing this evening is known as the mindfulness of breathing. So whether it's a meditation that you've done before or not, doesn't really matter. It will be a fully guided meditation. I will be taking you through all the stages. However, if you've not done this meditation before and you want to find out a little bit more information about it, we do have now on our YouTube channel a meditation toolkit. And one of the things on there that you can access is a more detailed guide to both the Metta Bhavana and the mindfulness of breathing. So if you want to find out a little bit more information, I will give you an overview of the meditation before we go into it later on today. But if you want more information, you can find that there in the meditation toolkit. So this evening is the mindfulness of breathing, and mindfulness is a term that is very commonplace nowadays. You hear of it in business, you hear of it in various magazines and online, and it's a term which has become, but sometimes we know what we actually mean by mindfulness. You'll sometimes see mindfulness described as awareness, and I think that's quite a useful way sometimes to look at it. Bringing our awareness, our attention more fully to what is happening in the present moment. It's true to say that a lot of us spend our lives thinking about things that have happened previously, things that we might be concerned about, things that might be happening in the future. And there are actually things that we can't really control. There's nothing we can do about things that are past, in the future. I mean, I think the recent pandemic has shown that nobody really knows quite what's around the corner. So it encourages us to bring our awareness to what it's thought that this was the practice that the Buddha himself was doing at the moment of enlightenment. Okay, so all those 2,500 years ago. Another way of thinking of mindfulness, when we are fully absorbed in our awareness, is sometimes described as flow. And this is a term sometimes you might hear people who are engrossed in their work, in their hobbies, sport, you often hear about it as well. That point where your focus of attention is on one thing, and you feel it can help you to feel very energized, very driven, because you have kind of taken away all of the other things that can cloud the mind, and you are focusing your attention on that one thing. And the practice of mindfulness, cultivating mindfulness in our lives, can bring some really very positive benefits. And we can never go too far with it as well. There's always more that you can do with a mindfulness practice. So hopefully you'll get a flavour of that this evening as we do the mindfulness of breathing practice. Mindfulness is very, very central, very important to Buddhists, and it actually relates to what we describe as Buddhist ethics or principles of the way in which Buddhists wish to aspire, strive to practice their lives. And the way that that's often described is in two ways. There are kind of two things you can do to help bring more mindfulness to your life. One of them is to not do things which have the opposite effect. So we talk about not having things which cloud the mind. Well, that would include things like alcohol. It would include things like constantly watching back-to-back YouTube videos that are really not enriching our lives in any particular way. But we all have a tendency sometimes to kind of get drawn into things that which are not good. They kind of oppose our mindfulness. They're mindless in some ways. But on a positive side, there are things that we can do to cultivate mindfulness, to encourage ourselves to be in that place where we have greater awareness of what is happening in our lives in the present moment. And this is where the mindfulness of breathing can be extremely helpful. Um, I've titled this evening's meditation mindfulness clear and radiant, and that's what Buddhists will say. That's what they'll aspire to do, to have mindfulness clear and radiant. um, and I will sometimes say when I'm talking to people about meditation that even if you've done a meditation before, it's always worth listening to other people, do a guided meditation with other people, because you'll sometimes pick up different ways, different approaches, which can be helpful for you. Um, but also sometimes it can be quite useful to have an image or something which represents what we're trying to achieve in meditation. And when I think about that phrase, mindfulness, clear and radiant, it makes me think of a pure crystal sometimes. And I like to think that actually that's what I'm trying to achieve by practicing mindfulness. I'm trying to make my awareness as clear and as pure as possible. And if you think about a crystal which is perfectly cut, without any sort of any stains, anything impure about it, the purest, clearest crystal, which if it catches the light will pass through and radiate through without any obstruction at all. So that's what we're hoping to achieve, and one thing that we can, and something that we can continue to work with to hopefully achieve greater and greater levels of mindfulness, and following on from that, hopefully to benefit from some of those positive things that mindfulness can bring. So, on to the meditation itself. So, in meditation, one of the first things I will mention is to you about your posture. Now, also in our meditation toolkit, we do have a video on posture. So, if you want to, if you want to have a look at that, if you want more information about how to get into a good posture for meditation, that is there if you wish to take a look. But broadly speaking, you should be in a position where you can rest comfortably for approximately 20 minutes. We're going to do a little sort of warm up meditation, a body scan, just to help ourselves settle before we go into the meditation proper. But what you need to be doing, I'm on a stool, but if you're on the floor, just make sure, it's often a good idea just to have a cushion underneath your bottom, just so that your hips are raised a little bit. But if you've never meditated before, I'd probably recommend that you do it in a chair. A nice firm chair like one you'd have in the dining room is probably the best one to go for, because it keeps you in a nice upright but comfortable position, and that's what you should be aiming for: a nice relaxed but upright spine, and be in a nice alert position where you're not going to start to feel sleepy, but equally you're comfortable and you're happy to be in that position for the duration of the meditation. Another thing I'll mention as well is your hands, your arms. I've got a cushion here, and it's often a good idea to have a cushion on your lap. Just rest your hands gently on that cushion. If you rest them on your lap itself, what you can tend to find is you get a little bit of tension at the back of the neck and in the shoulders as well. So just rest gently your hands on the cushion, and keeping contact with that nice erect spine, making good contact with the floor, and with the chair as well. So I'll talk you now through the different stages of the meditation, and I will go, as we go through, I will remind you of the different stages, so don't worry about remembering them. And I will mark each of the different stages with a bell. So you'll hear a bell, sound a bit like this, okay? And that means that we're ready to move on to the next stage. I would advise you to try and do it with your eyes closed, or if you really don't want your eyes closed, you can just bring your gaze down to a fixed point in front of you as well. But the 4 stages of the meditation, the mindfulness of breathing, are as follows. First of all, what we do is we're bringing our awareness to the breath and counting the breath after each out breath. Okay, so we're breathing in, we're breathing out, and in our mind, we just gently count 1. And then we breathe in, and we breathe out, and we gently count 2. Breathe in, breathe out, 3. We continue that process right up until we've counted 10 breaths, and at that point we go right back to the beginning and we start again with 1. What you may find happens, particularly early on, is that your mind might wander off somewhere else, might wander away from focusing on your breath. If that happens, don't worry, it happens. It's quite common. But all you do if that happens is start over again, bringing your attention to your breath, and after each out breath, counting 1, 2, all the way up to 10. So that's the first stage. I will then ring the bell, and in the second stage, we're now going to continue to count the breath. But in this stage, we're going to move the count to just at the point where the breath is about to enter the body. So we'll breathe in, breathe out. There'll be a slight pause, and then it's 1. Breathe in, breathe out, pause. 2. Breathe in, breathe out, pause. 3. And we continue in that way, counting just before the breath, right up until 10 again. So we're shifting the emphasis in the first stage from the end of the breath, in the second stage to the beginning of the breath. Okay. And once again, if your mind wanders off, that's absolutely fine. Just come back to counting from 1 again. Throughout the practice, it's really important not to try and control your breath in any way. Don't change the speed of the breath. Don't breathe deeper or more shallow or more quickly or more slowly. Just follow your own natural breath, the rhythm of your breath. That's all. What you're doing is you're observing your breath. So in those first two stages, we're counting at different parts of the breath, but we mustn't think that we need to change the breath in any way. We're just observing what's happening naturally in our body. Then I'll ring the bell and we'll be in the third stage. And in the third stage, what we do is we drop the counting altogether. So we're still very much bringing our attention to the breath. And hopefully by this stage, as we're focusing on the breath, over time, what happens is the mental activity, all those things that might be in our head at the moment, things that have been happening today, and the things we might be thinking about in the future, as we bring more and more awareness to the breath, those things will tend to drift away. They will tend to clear, and we can bring more and more focus purely to the experience of the breath in the body. So that's all we do in the third stage. We just bring all of our awareness as much as we possibly can to noticing the breath and the sensations of the breath in the body. In the fourth and final stage, after the next bell, what we do is quite similar to the third stage, but what we now do is we focus on the sensations of the breath in one specific part of the body. And that is at the point where the breath enters the body. So for most people, it will be the sensation of the breath around the nostrils. It could be the sensation of the breath across the top lip there. And all you're doing is focusing your attention onto the sensations, the experience of the breath as it enters the body. So they are the 4 stages. At the end, I'll ring the bell again and bring you out to the meditation. As I mentioned to you, the meditation itself will last for approximately 20 minutes or so. We'll see how it goes. Excuse me. But before that, what we'll do is we'll have a gentle body scan, which really just helps us to focus, to help us to arrive here and now, and prepare ourselves for the meditation proper. So I'll have a quick drink of water, so hopefully I don't cough during the meditation. And what I'd invite you to do is to get into your meditation posture and just gently relax. And when you're ready, just allow your eyes to gently close. And to start with, we're going to take just a couple of deep breaths wherever we are at the present moment. 2 more deep breaths here. And allow your breath to return to normal. And what I'd like you to do is to bring your awareness to your feet. Just notice your feet. How do they feel? Just notice the contact they may be having with the floor. Perhaps give them a little wiggle if you like, just to bring more awareness into your feet and your toes. Just notice how they're feeling at this present moment in time. Be aware of the connection of your feet with the ground, allowing you to feel more rooted in whatever position you are. And then gradually move up the legs to the calves. Just notice, perhaps give your calves a little squeeze and let them relax again. Your knees, your thighs. Just notice if you're holding any tension in your thighs at all, because the thighs are some of the biggest muscles in the body. And we can hold on here with quite a bit of tension. Just notice if that is the case for you. And if so, just by bringing awareness to your thighs, notice if you can allow some of that tension to gently drift away. Now I'd like you to bring your attention to your sitting bones. However you are sitting at the moment, whether it's on a chair or a stool, just notice that connection of the sitting bones, the bottom in contact with the chair. And allow that sensation to really support the rest of your upper body. And with your feet and your sitting bones, just have this sense of really feeling grounded, rooted to the earth, strongly supported. And from your sitting bones, be aware of your spine growing up tall from that area, from the base of the spine. And imagine that you've got opposing forces in your body of gravity drawing you down to the earth at the bottom of your spine, rooting you to the ground, to the chair. But this strong, tall spine gently pulling upwards in the opposite direction. Just be aware of that tall, relaxed spine, sitting comfortably, without tension, but allowing you to be alert, but relaxed. Bring your attention to the top of your spine, your neck, and allow your head to gently but naturally perch on top of the spine. Be aware of that sense of gently drawing up in opposition to the rooting, the grounding at the bottom of the spine. And just enjoy that sensation. Now bring awareness to your shoulders. First of all, notice where your shoulders are. Are they tense, meaning that your shoulders are high up close to your ears? Or are they nice and relaxed? And also feeling the effect of gravity drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. Without forcing them, allow this to happen even more. Allow gravity just to draw your shoulders down, nice and gently without effort. Just allow gravity to do its thing. If you notice any tension in your shoulders or your neck, just see if by bringing awareness to that area, you can allow some of that tension to ease naturally. Now be aware of the weight of your hands and your arms as they rest on your lap. Be aware of any sensations that you may be experiencing in your hands themselves. Warmth or tingling or some other sensation. Something's happening. But be aware exactly of what that is for you right here and right now. What do your hands feel like? Now bring gentle awareness to your chest and your belly. Begin to notice the gentle rise and fall as your breath enters and leaves the body. Become more and more aware of the sensations of the breath in the body. As you prepare for the first stage of the mindfulness of breathing. So being aware of your breath, the gentle in-breath and out-breath at your own pace. Begin to count after each out-breath when all the breath has left the body. Breathe in, breathe out. 1. And again, breathe in, breathe out. 2. Breathe in, breathe out. 3. Continue to breathe in and breathe out at your own speed, at your own rhythm, but gently counting each breath at the point the breath has left the body. Keep counting until you reach 10 breaths, at which point you continue, starting again at 1. find your mind wandering away from the count, from the awareness of the breath, just gently bring your awareness back to the breath at the point you notice that happening. If thoughts begin to cloud the mind, just allow them to drift by and bring your awareness just back to your breath. Try not to control the breath. Think of yourself as the observer, becoming more and more aware of the sensations of the breath in your body, and marking each out-breath with a gentle count. Continuing to mark the breath with a count after each out-breath. And returning to 1 once we've counted 10 whole breaths. Moving now into the second stage of the meditation. Continue to observe your breath, but now bring a count in at the point just before the breath enters the body. So we count 1, breathe in, breathe out. There'll be a slight pause. 2, breathe in, breathe out, pause. 3, breathe in, breathe out, and continue in your own time, following your own breath, keeping the count gently in your mind just before each in-breath. Try to be aware of the sensations of the breath in your body. count is there to help us, but our focus is our breath. What does it do? How does it feel? Once again, try not to think about the breath, but just be aware of this natural process of breathing happening at its own speed, with its own rhythm. As we continue to count just before each in-breath. As you maintain your focus on the breath, counting before each in-breath, you may be aware that your focus becomes stronger, your awareness sharper and clearer. If thoughts cloud the mind, allow them to dissolve as you bring your attention fully back to the awareness of your breath, as you continue to count just before each in-breath. If you reach 10 breaths, start over again with the count at 1. Moving into the third stage of the meditation, allow any effort to count the breath to leave. As you become even more fully aware of the sensations of your breath in your body. Not thinking about the breath, but simply being aware of the process of breathing, the sensations, the experience of simply breathing in and breathing out. As you continue to focus on your breath, allow that awareness to become sharper. Experience to become purer. If your mind wanders and you find yourself focusing on thoughts, you'll focus back to the breath. Try not to judge your experience as being good or bad. Your experience is your experience. As you bring your awareness more and more to the sensations, the experience of your breath as it enters and leaves your body. Moving into the final stage of the meditation, we're gradually going to focus our awareness to the point where the breath enters the body. You may want to do this gradually. Bringing more and more attention to the area of the nostrils or the upper lip. Try to be aware of the sensations of the breath entering the body and leaving the body at this point. Keep your awareness clear and focused on any sensations you may be experiencing at the point where the breath enters and leaves the body. What sensations are there? Does it feel cold? Is there a slight tickle as the air passes over this area? but allow yourself also to be playful. Do you notice the sensations more strongly on one side than the other? Can you notice any areas around the nostrils or on the top lip where there is no sensation? Where do you notice the experience of the breath most? Enjoy the experience of your awareness becoming clearer, more focused, as you become ever more and more aware of the sensations of the breath in this part of your body. For a few more moments, just notice the sensations of your breath in your own time. Keep your eyes softly closed as we gently bring the meditation to a close. The sound of the bell dies away. Allow your eyes gradually to open as you bring gentle awareness back to your surroundings. Thank you for joining me for this meditation. I hope you found it useful, but also be sure to thank yourself for taking the time out to work with your mind, to hopefully improve your mental states in some way. It's quite a rare thing sometimes for people to do that, but particularly in these difficult times, I think it's more important than ever that people take care of their mind just as much as they perhaps take care of their body. So I hope to see you on one of these meditations, or perhaps even in person before too long. Our work continues at the Nottingham Buddhist Centre, and as I mentioned at the beginning, our drop-in meditations do continue on Tuesday and Friday lunchtimes and Tuesday evenings online. But we also have a number of other activities as well. So do keep a close eye on our website. We do obviously have to keep the centre running, and we want to continue these classes and supporting people, sharing meditation and Buddhism with as many people as we possibly can for as long as we possibly can. And that does require money. And during the lockdown, we've not been able to get money for room rentals that we might have for yoga. We've not been able to run classes where we may get donations. But as a centre, we do rely on donations. That's how we operate. Um, if you are able to donate, I would be very grateful if you could do that. However, if you're not in a position to be able to donate, that is also absolutely fine. You will always be welcome. You will always be encouraged to come along and meditate with us and to enjoy that as well. However, if you are in a position, if situation is more favourable, and you can donate an amount, no matter how small or large, there is an opportunity to do that in the YouTube channel. There is a link that you can follow, but also on the front page of the Nottingham Buddhist Centre website, there are various options there about how you can donate, and it is very much appreciated if you can do that. So thank you once again for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you at some point in the future, either on here or in the flesh. And I wish you all very well. Take care.